Yo, ladies and gentlemen, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Think Big podcast. If this is your first time here and you're wondering what is this podcast about and what's up with this guy with this dark room, well, today we're going to be talking about hiring a team as a business owner. And for those who's wondering what is this podcast about, it's more about trying to figure out how we can remove the limited beliefs we have when it comes to business, mindset, growing any operations you have going on. If you want to know how to make 10,000, we're going to try and teach you how to make $250,000 a quarter, which is something Sam Singh already did. And I'm excited for today's episode because this man has so much value and so much experience. He paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, to other mentorships so you can gather all these information that you're going to share with us today. And I myself will give my 2 cents as well on how I hire and teams. And this should be fun because this is actually a very common question that we get, Sam, is, hey, man, when do you think we should hire someone? When should we hire someone? And I think it's going to be a really good eye-opening episode for those questions. And, perhaps we give them a lot of value today. How are you today, sir?
Dude, I'm stoked. I'm so sorry, guys. I try to get this iPad to work and connect to the screen. I don't know why it doesn't let me. I know I've run into this. Marlon's run into this. It sucks. It is what it is. Um, so that's unfortunate. I'm gonna figure it out for next time, and then I'm gonna be able to present on a iPad for y'all, so we can write this out. We can whiteboard it. I want you guys to see what this looks like. But dude, I'm phenomenal. I am stoked to be talking about this because I think this is one of the things that nobody talks about. Because most people on YouTube don't actually run legitimate businesses. And then B, the reality is the people who do are busy doing the damn thing, so they don't get to talk about it too much. So it's going to be one of the most critical things. It's funny, I have all these notes in front of me that I unfortunately can't share today, so I'm just going to try to go off of them as much as I can. And then, but let's do this, man. I want to hit on this, right? Because I want today to be, there's days where we go into mindset. Then there's days where we go into marketing and high level nuance and in terms of your personality and what your ambition and drive needs to look like and your why and all these things. I think I want today to be an extremely practical day. I feel like we've been doing a lot on mindset lately, so I want today to be a day where like people can go into their businesses and meaningfully implement this stuff and start making more money, because that's all that freaking matters at the end of the day.
Hey, bro, let's look. How about after this? Matter of fact, you know what? While you do all the really cool stuff, I'm going to put a list of things for you so you can get this iPad rolling, because I'm pretty sure all this value you're providing us, once you get this iPad going crazy, bro, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, dude. I want to hit on something that you mentioned. You mentioned Sam spent a lot of money on mentorship and masterminding. Absolutely. The answer is actually $153,000 in the last 2 years. So the reality is most of this information at a high level is gatekept. Why? Because information is easy to sell. It is easy to keep it behind closed doors and sell it for an extremely high ticket price. So when it comes down to hiring specifically, I have dropped in total minimum $30,000 to learn how to properly recruit, hire, onboard, train, and retain a team of people. And this is SOPs, onboarding documents, all of these things, right? All these things, how to not just hire, like it's one thing to hire cold callers, it's another thing to hire a follow-up specialist, a lead manager. It's another thing to hire a closer. It's another thing to hire a manager for all of them. That's huge. And then it's another thing to do this, guys. A lot of you guys have real estate investment businesses, which truly at the end of the day are sales and marketing businesses. And if you have one of those, your business can actually be run. You don't even need a CEO or a COO, but guess what? We've done that. We know what it's like to hire. A lot of people think, and Alejandro, you know this, you and I have talked about this in the past. In the world of entrepreneurship and business, there's an obsession with being a CEO, right? A CEO or a COO, one of the top two guys running the business, or the president or the vice president of a business. The reality is those two guys are still fucking employees. Just no way around it. They are employees of the business. They work for the shareholders. They work for the business owner. And if you want to be an absolute phenom in the game, can you be a CEO? Absolutely. I love being a CEO, right? But as a founder of a business, I really, truly relish in, I want to be a CEO because I want to be active, But the fun part is, in almost all of my businesses, I completely don't do jack shit because I've trained directors to essentially be my COOs, be my operators. And one of the critical things that people think they need to do is they need to bring in an operator. And Alejandro, I'm going to say this right now. It's going to piss a lot of people off. And this goes against so many communities and mentorships, but it's true. And I know this is true because if you look at the guys who lead those communities, they'll say this publicly. They'll tell you that you need to partner up, partner up, partner up. That you need to give 50% of your business away to someone to do the work? The answer is hell no. The answer is hell no. And how do I know this? Most of those people don't partner for their businesses behind the scenes. I know those guys. I know the businesses they run behind the scenes. And very often they actually don't have a partner in them if they know how to run businesses correctly. And I'm going to say this, and guys, today's going to be one of those days where I just go off because I'm like sick and tired of a lot of this shit. People only partner very often, most often, right? There's exceptions, but people partner very often because they don't know how to properly recruit, hire, and train the right talent.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how to recruit, hire, train, and retain the right talent, you will never need to partner. You will never need to give up equity in your business, right? And that's just a core truth of this. That doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It can absolutely be worth doing, but you don't need to. I keep running into all these people, man, who, they want to start wholesale businesses and, they're okay with spending the money. They're okay with, spending the money on marketing and all these things. And they have, goddamn 4 partners. And I'm like, dude, wait a minute. You're going to, make 100K top line rev. You're going to drop, let's just say 25 grand a month in marketing spend because you're doing PPC to do that. So 25 grand right off top. So you have 75K left over. Out of that 75K, you're going to have ancillary expenses with your personnel because you're paying commissions, you're paying salaries, you're paying whatever the hell it is, right? Miscellaneous fees. Cool. You lose another, let's just say 15 grand off that. Cool. So you go from 75 to 60 grand. Okay. Now your business is going to retain a little bit of that for tax exemptions or for tax deductions or tax purposes. And then you're going to have a 4-way partner split at the end of it. You mean you created this massive machine that went and generated $100,000 in revenue and you're going to net what, 10 to 15K at the end of it? That's it. And then of your 10 to 15K in your active income, because it is active income, if you're not buying real estate, guess what? You're going to lose so much of that. If you're like me in California, you're going to lose half of that to taxes. So guess what? Yes, you have a 6-figure a month business. Yes, you have a 7-figure a year business. Yes, you can say we make over $1 million a year, but guess what? You are equally as full of shit as every other guru in the industry. And it's because you never learned how to properly hire. And very often those setups blow up. Why? Because people aren't making money. So we're gonna go into it today. We're gonna talk about hiring in a very at a very high level overview with what hiring looks like depending on where you're at. Because the reality is this, guys. If you want to start scaling the right way, you need to start hiring the right way. And very often, people want to have Fortune 500 kind of results, right? Like a Fortune 500 company, they want that type of result. But the reality is, your infrastructure, your logistics, the involvement, investment in your business is nowhere near that. You're still running it like a goddamn hobby. You're still doing this squat up JV community stuff, which is great, but you're not going to get to millions doing that. I'm sorry. I don't care. It doesn't work. I've yet to find someone who's done it, who doesn't actually own the community. The people who make millions doing that, Alejandro, and you know this, it's not the students, it's not the community members, it's the guy who owns the community that makes the millions. So because I'm an advocate of the people and for the people, let's get into it. The reality is this: more often than not, people here are going to be in a position where they cannot afford a W-2 salary yet, right? They just can't. Bro, by the way, our chat's been blowing up. This is great. I love this. So the reality is most people can't afford W-2. If you want to get into a business and you want to treat this like a business and you want to be the end all be all of what a business owner, really looks like, guess what? It's a W-2. Your people need to be on salary. It is the absolute way it is. No, you're good, dude. It is absolutely the way it is. You want to have people on W-2, and most of you guys have an issue. Maybe not here because you follow us and you listen, you pay attention. You guys can see Ace in the background.
Yo, shout out to Alexis in the chat. What's up, Miss Morgan?
Oh, Alexis Morgan is crushing. Phenomenal example of someone who's reinvesting a lot of their time and energy into scaling their businesses the right way. So, yeah, love Alexis. She's phenomenal. Also been crushing it on YouTube with her live streams, crushing it. So, okay, let's get into it. If you want to scale the right way, you need to get to the point where you can afford a W-2. Okay. You're going to see this, guys. Go into a lot of you guys are from several communities that I'm in, that we're both in. Go to those communities and you're going to see this. There's going to be leaders in all these communities who are hiring from the communities. And Alejandro, you know what happens every 3 months?
What's that, my friend?
All the people that they hired end up quitting, and then they're hiring again for the exact same roles.
Yep.
And the reason why is, simply put, when you're hiring from a tainted hiring pool, you will have massive turnover. You will not be able to scale. And then people get caught in what I call an absolute death cycle. And that death cycle is this: I'm going to go hire people in the community or mentorship or mastermind that I'm in, right? And then I'm going to train them, invest in them, work on them, and they're going to crush it. And they're going to be with me for about 3 to 6 months. In those 3 to 6 months, when they finally start performing, they finally start making money. Guess what? Because I hired someone who's entrepreneurially minded, right? Because they're entrepreneurially minded, what's going to end up happening is after that 6 months, when they get a 20K check because they crushed a big deal, or they've had a bunch of back-to-back deals in a snowball, right? Or a windfall, they're going to leave. They're going to leave. And then here's the crux of it, Alejandro. In those 6 months, you know what's happened? You've trained them. They've become autonomous. They've been working on their own. You have some breathing room to go work on higher leverage shit. And then what's going to happen is this: they're going to leave and your operation will come to a screeching halt. You're going to have to come back to hire, train, retain again. 6 months down the road, you're going to think you solved the problem again, and then that person's going to leave. It is the entrepreneurial death cycle of hiring. And then, don't believe me, go look at the biggest names in most of the communities that you guys are in. And I promise you, every 3 to 4 months, they will be posting, because they're looking for new acquisition managers. They're looking for new disposition managers. They are hiring again and again and again and again and again, right? I don't want you guys caught in that, right? Let them get caught in the entrepreneurial deaths, in that death loop. Because you guys follow Think Big, I want you guys to learn how to actually hire the right way. Now, I am going to say this because I understand that a lot of people can't afford this, right? I'm actually going to do a masterclass for free. It's going to be huge. In a couple months, it is going to be all about building a scalable team. If you've ever come to my masterclasses and you've been with me for 5 hours on the Zoom, you know that I don't leave a stone left unturned. We're going to do that about hiring. So I'm going to show you how I personally hire, train, retain, and scale. And guys, I've tried every model there is. I've tried every goddamn model there is, and I know what works and I know what doesn't. So in the beginning, because you may not have a gigantic budget, and let's just say you're not savvy, you're not leveraging lines of credit, you're not leveraging business credit, you're just trying to make it work with what you got in front of you. I get it. You're bootstrapping things. You're probably going to have to hire from a community or from a Facebook group or something that you're in that you have immediate proximity to. What's going to end up happening is this, guys. Thank you, Wayne. My master classes are badass. What's going to happen is you're going to hire someone who you have immediate proximity to. And what's going to happen is this: you're going to bring them on. And I want to talk about the acquisition roles, right? The front end sales and marketing. If you can't afford a W-2, there is an industry standard for you to know. And that industry standard is what you're going to pay these people. And then here's the reality: the industry standard sucks. Alejandro, not for a closer, okay? For a lead manager / follow-up specialist, what is the industry standard in commission? What have you seen?
I've seen tons. I've seen tons of different things, which I've had conversation about this. But I would say, on average, I would see between 5 to 10% commission is what I see on average.
Yep. The industry standard nationwide in most markets is going to be a blended rate between 5 to 10. It's usually going to be about 7%. So
oh my God,
Anthony Johnson, whoever told you that is absolutely lying to you, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely lying to you.
I wouldn't be surprised though. I've heard some business owner giving away a big chunk of the pie. I'm like, damn, dude, I need to get hired from you.
And here's the thing: I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have certain campaigns in our investment business that are completely commission run. They have zero overhead, which is fun for me in that campaign. But I give a massive overvalued amount, right, in terms of commission. But guess what? I do it because The people who run it completely run it. Like I have zero involvement. I have no involvement at all. Right. And guys, in total right now, we just closed a deal. I think yesterday we just got paid on it. And closed Friday, we got paid yesterday. I currently have like 25 to 28 deals in escrow right now. I don't know jack shit about where they're at. I don't know addresses. I don't know markets. I don't know what the deal's like. I don't even know what the hell we're making on them. The reason is because we pay our people the right way, whether on W-2, whether on commission, it doesn't matter. We pay them the right way, but the key is to find the right talent. So the industry standard for a follow-up specialist / lead manager is going to be that 5 to 10% figure, a blended 7%. This is a person not who's generating the lead. That's like going to be a cold call or something usually we'd consider overseas, or a tech system, or it's PPC or PPL or whatever the hell it is. They're not the lead generator. They're just a lead manager. They're managing it. They're nurturing it. They're getting it ready for a closer. Now, the industry standard for a closer, typically at a scaled team in-house, and that's what I mean by that, is you're going to see a lot of these teams that will have like, hey, they have this weird loose setup that doesn't make any sense at all and it doesn't scale properly, where they say like, hey, when I have a lead, can you just come close it for me and I'll give you half the freaking assignment? Great for that closer. But the guys who are scaled on commission in-house, right? That closer, you don't own that closer, right? They're almost like a freelancer. They're like a 1099 kind of like here and there kind of person who you have no control over. Guess what? With those people, you can't hold them accountable, right? They're not reporting KPIs to you because they're a freelancer. So at a in-house closer role, someone who's going to get the seller to sign on the dotted line, you're typically going to expect anywhere between 10 to 15%. 10 to 15% is the standard for a team that has an in-house closer at scale, right? And they're flooding this person with leads. So 10 to 15%, that's what you guys should expect if you're doing that that commission side of things. Now,
I have a question, Sam.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is getting juicy. I have a what are your thoughts on this? Forget about me. What are your thoughts on this? So I see people typically just give out a commission, 10 to 15%. Personally, I like to see structure at 10%, but if you achieve X, you get closer to 15%. So incentivize them for the performance. So if someone makes, hey, if this is a 20K assignment for, or if you make $120,000 instead of $80,000 this month, you're going to be at 13% commission. What are your thoughts on stuff like that?
Phenomenal. So guys, what Alejandro was talking about is basically what we call a tiered commission structure, right? So basically it's an incentivization structure where if they hit a certain barrier, they're going to unlock the next bracket at a higher commission rate. That's supposed to do. I guess that was fine. Big. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff with 1099s. That's why a lot of these people are not doing 1099s or doing JV structures and having the effectively the acquisition people get paid out through the title company itself. And then it's not even 1099 because there's no direct payment. So there's a way to do that, guys. You can do the commission structure and actually have it be paid through title. And then in which case you don't even have to worry about a 1099 or a W-2. Now here's the reality. You don't own that work. You don't own that labor. You don't own that. I'm sorry, that's not the right way to say it, or it's not like a nice way to say it, but the reality is you don't own the employee. And if you don't own the employee, they're not reporting KPIs. You can't control them. You can't rely on them. It's not predictable. And if it's not predictable, it's not scalable. Like that's the reality of all of it. So, but Alejandro has a great point here. It's a tiered commission structure, right? And I love that. For my W-2 hires, we actually have them on a base salary to make sure their base is paid, right? Because here's the thing. And I'm skipping ahead here, guys, and don't worry, I'm going to backtrack and kind of walk you guys through how to get to where basically I'm at now and where a scaled team should be at. But the coup de grace, truly, like the cream of the crop way to do it, is you don't want your people starving completely. You really don't. Because in the world of wholesale, it's like feast or famine, right? Sometimes there's a feast, sometimes the market shifts, carriers crack down, something happens, and there's a famine and your leads dry up, right? Or if you had 25 deals in escrow like we do, half of them don't close, and my guys who were expecting 20K net to their pocket to feed their families, they only make 3K because of what happens in the industry. So to avoid some of that, we do a base salary regardless, and that base salary is going to be a few $1,000s. And guys, I'm going to go really heavy on value today, but I'm going to go just know that everything we're talking about, I will dive in 50 times more when I do a masterclass on this, because my masterclass is where I go completely through the roof. So you're going to do a baseline salary, right? That makes sure that they're not freaking the fuck out to pay their bills, to feed their families, right? This is what keeps people safe and comfortable. And it also, guess what? Keeps them with equitable interest in your business. It keeps them sticking around. It doesn't make them want to leave going somewhere else, because guess what? Even if they don't close a deal that month, or they only close 2 deals or 3 deals instead of 20, they're still going to get paid their base, right? They're going to get paid their base no matter what. So we do a small base, right? And then on top of that, we do what Alejandro basically talked about, and that is a tiered commission structure. Now, that tiered commission structure, it's going to start at a lower percentage. Typically, you start at lower than industry standard. And then here's the thing, it is based on their revenue. So if you only lock them from like 0 to 50K in that month, you're going to be at X percentage in your commission. If you do 50 to 150K in locked up revenue that ends up closing, you're going to go from, that percentage, you might be bumped up 1 to 2 points in your commission percentage. And then if it's like 150K plus, then you're getting like this insane commission. So it incentivizes. So that, in my opinion, man, is the way to cover your people's bases, right? So you don't have this massive turnover issue. And then 2, also incentivize in a culture, an environment where you really do breed complete badasses. And then on top of that, man, this is super secret sauce. Then there's a sales team bonus. If the team collectively hits a goal, they all get a bonus. And then here's what's amazing about that structure is that people aren't individuals anymore. They become mission oriented, because they know, hey, I know that if I want to hit the team bonus, right? Alejandro, my partner, my closer buddy who sits next to me at work, he has to also crush it. So I'm going to make sure he stays on it. I'm going to make sure that when he has his calls, I'm going to be listening in, and I'm going to be helping guide him. I'm going to make sure he doesn't leave a decision maker behind. I'm going to make sure that he, handles that landmine or that objection properly, because I now have an equitable interest in getting paid. Here's what's dope about that setup is this is also, and this one no one talks about, if you have a sales team manager, sales team leader, sales director, basically you have your follow-up specialist, your closers, and then you have someone who actually manages the whole sales team. They're not going to be jumping on the phones, right? They're not doing seller calls. They're not doing any of that stuff. That person's not a closer. Their job is to do what? Manage the acquisition team. It is their job to hold those guys accountable. They're the ones who are doing call reviews. They're the ones who are doing call calibrations. They're the one checking KPIs and dials and making sure people are on it. What ends up happening is that person is also on a baseline salary, and their tiered commission, Alejandro, is it based on them closing deals? No. It's based on them holding the team accountable. So now what you've done is you've covered the basis for your follow-up specialist. You've covered the basis of living expenses for your closers. And by having that baseline salary, you've covered the basis of your sales director who's running your team for you. So you don't have to sit there every fucking day and listen to call reviews, because I know I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to listen to call reviews and tell you about why you suck and why you can't get proper motivation out of the seller because you forgot to ask this question, or you forgot to ask what, the husband would think about this at the end of the day. I want a sales director to handle that for me. That's their job, right? We're going to cover all of them with a baseline salary, and then their commission structure, right? For your follow-up specialist, your lead manager, and your closer, it's going to be based on their performance independently. And then your sales director, his tiered commission is going to be based on how well the team produces. And it will then incentivize him to do what? To keep the team in line. If you do that, you're going to have this amazing culture where people are fed, right? They're loyal. They're not going to have an insanely high turnover. But then also you've built a culture where people are feeding, right, themselves with a tiered commission, but also because you have all these incentives and bonuses for the team to come together, they're actually feeding on other people winning in the business. So then what ends up happening is you have closers who are not combating with each other. And this is one of the big critical culture killers in so many businesses in these communities that we're in, man, is that they're going to hire 3 or 4 closers and they don't have enough leads. So what ends up happening is what? The closers start kind of having resentment to each other. It's like, well, why is Alejandro getting all the best leads? Why is he getting the PPC leads that are fresh and I'm getting shitty old cold call leads, right? And then he keeps closing deals. It's not because he's better than me. It's because he has better leads. Well, the cool thing, and then what ends up happening is you have resentment, right? And resentment, it kills your culture. And then I'm going to leave for a team that's going to put what I believe they're going to put me first. Cool thing is this: cover everyone's bases, create a culture and an incentive structure where everyone wins on their own work, but everyone also wins together. Then Alejandro, I want Alejandro to go crush those deals. I want him to take the hardest sellers. I want him to get that 20K assignment locked in, because guess what? If he hits his numbers and I hit my numbers, we get a team bonus and we all make more money together. And this is the tried and true, in my opinion, the absolute best way to do this. Yeah, Anthony, dude. Yeah, no one talks about this stuff. The reality is that what we just talked about, a salary plus tiered commission structure with bonus incentives and all these things, I promise you, you will not find a single YouTube video on the internet about doing that with a wholesale business. I had to drop literally 30K to get into a room where I learned that from someone who was absolutely scaled. So, and if you're getting value, guys, share this with your homies. Like, that's just it. Share this with your people. We want to grow. We want to keep getting everyone as much value as possible. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. But Alejandro, I know I went ham on that, but is that a good explanation of what that looks like?
Yeah, bro. I'm excited, man. I don't even want to say anything. I want you to say as much as you can for the rest of this podcast.
Epic. Okay.
We
So guys,
we do have some questions, by the way. I don't know if you want to answer towards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's always, if there's questions, I want to answer them as well.
Jonathan, this is the first question he asked earlier. What are the biggest things you look at when hiring a director of operations?
Phenomenal. So great question. And it's going to depend on the campaign or the business or the department. So I have sales director who runs the entire acquisition, right? We are, so they're going to run acquisition. They're going to run pipelines. They're going to run lead generation, sales, and conversions, right? I have a sales director who handles all of that. That person is a people manager, right? Because the department he's going over is a sales and marketing funnel system. That person doesn't have to be a phenomenal closer. It doesn't even fucking matter to me if they're a phenomenal closer. I care that they're a phenomenal team leader, right? So the person I have, and someone, I forgot who it was, but someone here mentioned that they came and saw me at the Mondrian, and I've spoken at the Mondrian 3 times, so I don't know which one that was, but someone said like, hey, they hired a veteran. That is one of my big things. My directors in my real estate investment business are all former military. So why does that matter? They understand chain of command. They understand proper rules and roles and responsibilities, and they thrive in team environments. So for a sales director, it's going to have to be someone who manages people, right? Now, I have a dispositions director. The reality of dispositions is, guess what? You don't have a massive downline of people underneath you in dispositions. You're just selling deals. In deals, you're dealing with buyers. But, my sales director may have, 2 closers and 5 follow-up specialists and, all these marketing campaigns underneath him to manage. There's a lot of people involved in that. But the dispositions director is only handling selling contracts. And so since there's less people management, dispositions is a game of task management. So on that essence, I may not be looking for the best people manager. I may be looking for someone who's extremely organized, who thrives in detail-oriented positions, right? Also, because dispositions is a role of B2B, which is business to business. I care that my director I don't care if they're empathetic and relatable and amazingly sweet and all this shit that we care about on the B2C side, right? With talking to sellers, because you want to be empathetic, you want to build relation, you want to build rapport. Guess what? On the front end of wholesale, of real estate investing, is we have B2C with the sellers, where we have to be empathetic and relational and solving all their problems. And on the back end, on selling the deal, guys, it's B2B. We're negotiating with buyers. There are other investors who want to make money just like we do. And so my person on the disposition side, they are task-oriented, detail-oriented. And guess what? They are killer negotiators, not in a B2C capacity, but in a B2B capacity. So my girl who runs my dispositions, guys, she's a fucking shark. She's an absolute fucking shark. So what you're going to look for very specifically in your directors and your director of ops is going to be based on the business, the division, the department, and what they will oversee. It's a different personality type for each of them. But what I consistently find is this. I want to hit this because a lot of people are guilty of this. I was guilty of this. Do not do not think that a proper way to find your sales team leader, your sales director, your blah, 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 blah. A lot of times this is what people do. They're going to take their best closer who understands how to close it all, cash, creative, sub-2, seller finance, novations, all of it, right? They know how to structure all of it. They know how to lock it all up. They know how to handle every objection. And this is what they all do, Alejandro. They're going to take that person and they're going to turn them into the sales director. It is the dumbest fucking thing you can do. Why? Because that person is your number one revenue generator for your business. And you took someone who was an all-star athlete. You took Kobe fucking Bryant and said, Kobe, I know you're in your prime right now. I know you're crushing it. But because you're crushing it, I'm going to take you off the court and I'm going to turn you into the coach. What if Kobe isn't a phenomenal coach? What if Kobe is a badass player? You should keep him a badass player. So what I constantly see with sales directors and sales team leads is these people are going to very often, very often, they're going to elevate the wrong person up, and it kills their momentum. And then what's going to happen is deals don't get closed, money doesn't come in, and they wonder what the fuck's going on, right? You run into this massive issue. So I hope that provides some insight there. The answer is going to be, you're going to have a specific profile built on the division, on the department, on the roles, all these things. Great question, dude.
Let's see. We want to go into the other one. We can answer some more later.
Yeah. I mean, is there another one you want to answer?
Yeah, you have someone here. Let me see. By Sergio, he said, "Who should be the first hire in your business going from solopreneur?"
I'm about to fucking blow Sergio's mind with this one. Okay, so Sergio, great question. A lot of people say it's like, hey, you know what? Do I need a cold call first before I hire a cold caller, or should I hire? And then a lot of people, they have this methodology or this mindset. It's a wrong goddamn mindset on earth, which is I need a cold call first, and when I get really good at cold calling and I know what cold calling looks like, I'm gonna go hire a caller, and then I'm gonna become the lead manager, right? And then I'm gonna hire that out when I'm really good at lead managing. But then guess what's gonna happen? What's going to happen is you're going to hire a lead manager, and then you're going to become a closer. And then you're going to have to get really good at sales training, right? And becoming a good salesman to close deals. Eventually, you're going to hire a closer, and then you will do dispositions or TC or sales management, whatever the fuck it is. You know the problem with this entire system, Alejandro?
What was that, bro?
How long do you think that shit took?
At least 6 months, at least.
Dude, way more than 6 months. I would say minimum, if you're fast, a year. More often than not, it's a year and a half to 2 years. It's why I'm telling you guys right now, most people that we meet in the industry who are in it for 2, 3, 4 years, they're still fucking talking to sellers, or they're still training their people, right? Day in, day out. They're still doing call calibrations, listening to call reviews, listening to call playbacks, right? The reality is it's the wrong way to do it. Don't do that. What we've described is bottom-up hiring. The reality is you want to do the exact opposite. It's what we call top-down hiring. So Sergio, what I want you to do is identify the most critical roles that run the business itself. And all you have to do is get really good at defining what success looks like. So if you have a wholesale business, there's 2 critical roles: sales director, dispositions director. They run the business. Okay? They run the business. For your sales director, all you need to do is go get the blueprint for this is what a sales team looks like. So you have to go get a blueprint for here's how cold callers crush it, right? Here's how many dials they have to make. Here's what their scripts look like. Here's what their KPIs they need to track look like. Same thing for your follow-up specialist. Same thing for your closers. Sales director is not an acquisition manager. You got to be careful with that, Sam, because a lot of times people say acquisition manager and they mean closer. That's in this industry, there's a really bad terminology use case with it. So a follow-up specialist and a lead manager are the same thing. They nurture the lead and get it ready for a closer. When we talk about closers, I don't like saying acquisition manager because that is someone who manages. Yes.
I have a question. Why not just let and I'm asking for other people that are watching this. Why not just let your acquisition manager do the follow-ups?
Phenomenal question. So when you say acquisition manager, you basically mean closer, right?
Yeah, the closer. Yeah, correct.
Okay, because I want to be very careful, and I want people to stop using the term AM or acquisition manager, because when you say manager, they're managing something, and usually they're managing people. So if you say closer, just say closer. There's no, like, the person who closes is the one who gets them to sign on the dotted line. So use the word closer. Why don't we have a closer do follow up and lead nurturing? The answer is simple, guys. Because they're two different fucking roles. People think it's the same role. And yes, a closer can be good at follow-up, and a follow-up specialist can be good at closing at some point, but they are critically, fundamentally two different roles. A closer is a salesman who is going for a lead conversion. Okay? That is it. A follow-up specialist is a nurturer of leads. You're building rapport, you're building relational, you're a appointment setter. Right? When we go into high ticket sales in some other business, you have lead generators, appointment setters, and then you have closers, very specific salesmen. It is two different skill sets. Can they overlap? Yes. Can they crush it at both? Yes. Here's what's typically going to happen. Alejandro, I know this is you, and I know this is me, and I know this is Marlon, I know this is Daryl. I know this is even guys like Pace Morby. The guys who are really fucking good at closing, if you are a business owner and you say, hey, closer, I know you're like Kobe fucking Bryant on the court, and I know you crush it, but I'm going to have you not live in your zone of genius of being a badass closer, and I'm going to make you just do follow-up for long-term follow-up that's not even going to turn into a deal for 6 months from now. What's going to end up happening is your closer will fucking hate you. Why? Because they're not doing what they want to do. I view closers as athletes. Closers are athletes. They want to go for the kill. For them, they want to go into game day. That's it. The reality is the best athletes in the world, do they love practice? Sure, they absolutely do. They love the process. But when they're practicing, what are they only thinking about? They're thinking about championships, right? So if you have a closer, that's your star athlete, keep them the star athlete. Don't make them a guy who sits on the bench and just fucking waits and waits and waits and waits. Yes.
I have one more question that I've been thinking about. This is actually for me. That I'm sorry, man. I'm taking all this good information to myself here. Do you recommend, based off the chain of command, do you recommend the closer trained the follow-up specialist, or the sales director to train the follow-up specialist?
So good question. First and foremost, no. First, as a critical rule, as a foundational, fundamental rule, the answer is no. Why? Because in a business, you want to have very clearly defined roles for specific people, and you want to have a separation of roles. So whose job is it to train the follow-up specialist? The sales team lead, the sales director, the sales team manager, right? The person above the entire team. It is their job fundamentally, because guess what? If you were the business owner, right, Alejandro, and your follow-up specialist, your lead manager wasn't performing, who are you going to hold accountable for the lack of standards? Obviously, the lead manager might get fired, or they may be reprimanded, or they may be put on a performance improvement plan, whatever. But whose job was it to oversee that? Or who are you holding accountable now? Your sales director, your sales team manager, or are you holding your closer accountable because your closer was told that they should be training the follow-up specialist, right? So because of that, as a foundational issue, you don't want to overlap and muddy the waters. That being said, your closers must have an extremely collaborative role with your follow-up specialist to help your follow-up specialist know, hey, this is how you set me up to succeed as a closer, right? Last lead that you sent to me, there was missing this, this, and this. You missed the decision maker. You missed all this. The reality is you sent me the lead, and I'm going to take the call, but I know I'm going to have to kick it right back to you for further follow-up until it is ready to go. And so what you want is this amazing level of communication and collaboration between your closers and your follow-up specialists, your lead managers. But is it their job to train them? No. You want to have clearly defined roles, because when shit blows up, and it will, you need to know who is being held accountable for the lack of standards.
Is it okay if I clarify this for Anthony?
Go for it.
He says, can't tell. I think he said, can't tell what season you're in, brother. That question went over my head. So I'm going to share my screen here. I got my iPad. Cool stuff here. Check it out. Can you see that?
Yeah, your iPad fucking works, but mine doesn't. Whatever.
Let me see. So what Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. So this is little quick example of chain of command. You should see my accountability charts. It's insane. But you have the manager, sales manager, right?
Yep.
Then you have your closer, then you have your lead manager. What Sam is saying is that these closer right here, can I change the color here? Should not train the follow-up specialist. The follow-up specialist should be trained by the sales manager, because this is the person that reports to you, the owner. Is that what you're saying, Sam?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, and what I'll say is this: I'm going to actually create a degree of separation because scale is important to me. Scroll up a little bit. This is just a little thing. The manager, the sales manager, right? I'm going to actually take owner out of it because of a scaled business. Who are they actually reporting to? CEO/COO, right? The two executives. The owner sits above the CEO and the COO. So that's just a small little thing. But the reality is, yes, at the end of the day, a successful business with a good culture, everyone is training everyone is pouring into everyone is collaboratively working together. So your closer is going to collaboratively work, right, with your follow-up specialists, and they're going to communicate, hey, that lead that you sent over, John Doe at 123 Main Street. Well, John Doe, you missed that John Doe was married to Jane Smith and they got divorced and we may need her signature. Cool. That's collaborative feedback, right? At the end of the day, whose role, position, job, responsibility is it to train the follow-up specialist and the closer? It is your sales team manager. At the end of the day, everyone works together, but there needs to be a clear-cut role and responsibility. This is why very often at the highest level teams, man, we actually see sometimes that they are so clear about it. They're like, sometimes they won't even collaborate very much with each other. They have such a heavy segmentation so that when someone messes up, there is such a high degree of responsibility placed on whoever's left that there is no way someone can get away with it and say that, I didn't know, or no one poured into me, or no one let me know. So all these things are hyper important.
Heck yeah. Thank you for answering that, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anthony Johnson asked another great question. So the sales manager is basically the general manager, kind of and kind of not. A general manager, you're basically you're assuming runs the entire ship. The answer is no. The sales team manager, the sales director, handles the sales. That's only 50% of the business. The other 50% of the business is going to be dispositions or fulfillment, right? Which is the getting rid of the deal, the selling the deal, or managing the fix and flip, or selling it on market, right? And so you have on the front end a sales team manager, and on the back end you're going to have a disposition team manager or a dispositions director, something to that effect. So love this. Love all of this. I want to go into this because I literally had someone tell me this or ask me this question today, and they DM me and they were like, hey Sam, I want to start, like hiring the right way, this, that, and the other. Do you think it's worth it to start hiring to someone run both? Yes, your CEO, your COO. So are you going to have one single person that runs all of it together? You can, like a COO. You can, but really what ends up happening is your sales team director, your sales team manager, or your sales director. I call it sales director because their job is to, when I say manager, guys, I am going to go so deep on this right now because I want you to understand the psychology behind this. This fucking matters. One, this is going to affect how you hire and what you have to pay people. Because if you tell people manager, right, and then you say I'm hiring for sales manager or I'm hiring for sales director, and you're properly hiring on W-2, which one do you think is going to cost you more money on a salary?
Repeat that question one more time, please.
So if I'm hiring for the same position, right, to do the same thing, and I word it sales manager, sales team manager versus sales director, which one do you think is going to cost more in the salary? Director all day. Because why? A manager does what? They manage systems and processes and people that are already in place. An ecosystem has been created. A manager just sustains it. Your job is to make sure it just doesn't fucking die. That is it. A sales director, their job is to, as a foundation, make sure it doesn't die, but also handle pivots, add new pipelines, add new campaigns, try and test new things. A sales director, their job is to direct that portion of the business into newer and better directions, right? So you have further growth involved. And then so that's a huge thing. So I want people to be very clear on that. If you have it done right, your sales director will handle this side of the business. Your dispositions director, that's how I have it, will handle this side of the business. And if they're competent and good at what they do, all they do is report back to the CEO or / COO, whoever your executive, your operator running the business, right? And then you should be Gucci. You should be fine. Like, there's actually nothing left to do. There's no more degrees of management in place needed in most businesses until you start doing 50 plus transactions per month. When you start doing 50 plus escrows at a time, then you start needing additional degrees of separation. Hi, my dog wants to say hi to you guys. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay.
What's his name?
Well, this is Daisy. She was the rescue off of the highway. And then, so, hi, Daisy. Daisy. Okay, Daisy. Okay. Okay, you can go now. You can go now. Go. Hi, Bubs. Okay, so, not a
Hey,
lot.
you got a lot of great questions today, my friend.
Yeah. Not a lot. So we've got the directors, and we actually just hired a new assistant for one of my directors yesterday, or I just paid the bill, I should say. And now we're going to formal hiring processes. And then so, no, not even at 10. Not even, we're at less than 10. Yeah, she was hitchhiking. So we're not even at 10. On formal payroll, less than 10. And then I have another business that I'm involved in, and I think that one is at like 15 people, 12 to 15 people. I'm not even sure because I don't handle operations. I'm more just on the marketing side of that business. So on the investments, I'm telling you right now, guys, you can have less than 5 people and make over $1 million a year very easily, very fucking easily. Okay, great questions. I wanted to touch on something that I totally blanked on, Alejandro. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good, man.
Um,
Was it about the hiring process, the chain of command?
Yeah. So one thing that's critical, guys, absolutely critical is, and this really comes back to hiring the right way. You need to understand that in hiring, you are going to fuck up. You are going to absolutely fuck up. And as a leader, your job is no longer about, you can go ask Sasha. She's my dispositions director. I ask her this every time I talk to her. Every fucking time I talk to her. And I know she hates it by now. I ask her, do I need to reword things, or do I need to change my approach? Do I need to restructure how I'm talking so it lands with you? Because you are a different human being than me. You intake knowledge differently than me. And here's what's critical, guys. Understand this. I want, like, if you're a note taker, I want you to, if you write anything down tonight, I want you to write this one thing down. You need to understand which roles in your business are doers, which roles in your business are managers, and which roles in your business are directors. That is the most critical thing. Who are the doers, who are the managers, and who are the directors? Why? The level of critical thinking and problem solving needed is going to be higher the higher you go. A doer, task-based. It's why, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or offensive to any other, area of the world, but the reality is we pay people $2, $3, $4 an hour to cold call because they have a simple process. Dial the phone, ask these 4 questions, get the 4 pillars, pass it on. Task-based, right? Anywhere between $2 to $5 an hour for that task. Makes sense. That is a doer position. Follow-up specialist, lead manager, even though it says manage, the reality is they're still a doer. All they're doing is nurturing the lead until you have enough of the boxes checked to pass it on to the next person. So a cold caller, a lead generator, a follow-up specialist, and hell, even a closer, they're all doers. A sales team manager, that person is actually managing human beings. And a manager has to do what, Alejandro? They have to understand how to communicate with different people. So they're going to have a higher level of thinking and critical thinking that's needed. Now, a director, oh my fucking God. Directors have to become phenoms at solving problems. They have to be willing to take risks. They have to be willing to try new things and fail forward. My director, Sasha, love her to death. She messes up as often as she can because she knows it's a requirement to get better. She isn't afraid to take risks. Right in the beginning, when she started off with me, she was like, Sam, like, I don't want to take these risks because your reputation's on the line, all these things. I'm like, Sasha, like, how are you going to get better at solving problems if you don't cause fucking chaos? And you have to get ready to cause chaos and be willing to do that and be willing for shit to blow the fuck up, right? As long as we never do anything unethical, but I want you to try new things. And I want you to be okay in like spending my money and losing my money. I'm okay with you doing that if we learn from it the right way. Directors are a special breed of human being. And in your businesses, guys, your best cold caller may not make a phenomenal sales team manager because there's a difference between a doer and a manager. And there's a difference between a manager and a director. I have managers, I'm not gonna obviously mention which ones in certain businesses, but I have managers in certain things, man, where I love them to death. They crush what they do. The best damn managers I've ever seen. For whatever reason, these people are incapable of creating, and I said this earlier, the job of a manager is to sustain an ecosystem that you've created for them, right? It's you've given them like a box, like a playpen, you put all the toys in it, and that's just it, right? This is alive. This ecosystem's alive. It's small. It's safe. It's kept. Here's how you run it. I just need you to just make sure it doesn't die. Water the damn plants while I'm gone. That's a manager, right? A director is someone who has to learn how to take that sandbox that you give them and then make it bigger, make it better, grow it, keep growing it, keep amplifying it. The risks needed to do it, the critical thinking needed to do it. That's a director. The reality is this: I have a manager who's a phenomenal manager, but this person has in my opinion, no ability to direct new campaigns without me hand-holding them through it.
Bars.
Yeah, I'm going ham today. Is this valuable, guys? Are you guys even like, is this
He's cooking. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Yeah, making 100 acres big. Absolutely. Alejandro, what you got, man?
Oh man, I thought we were still going. Man, I would say a few things, Sam, and you can probably touch on this as well, is make sure that you can afford your hire. You know, and if you have some action steps, Sam, that would be really valuable, because that's a big mistake I did early on where I didn't have enough leads coming in to afford a lead manager or a closer that's on commission. So that's a huge mistake. People tend to like, hey, I'm getting ready to start a business. You're the closer, you're the dispo. Next thing you know, 3 months pass, no money, 6 months, no money. And when they leave, you can't get mad as the business owner because you didn't provide the proper resources to keep those hires. So Sam, do you have like any additional steps to do so? One of the things that I took, honestly, which I learned, I would say I should have learned way early on, is learning the leads per contract per deal, KPIs, all the KPIs necessary was really important to understand. So you know when to hire the next person.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I want to backtrack just a quick second. Someone, the CEO, dude, if that's your name, that's a badass name. About Sam, where can you see the origin stories and more of it? Ironically, our best one is not even public. I don't think so. It's where we interviewed former shark from Shark Tank, Matt Higgins. It was our most recent one. Go to theoriginstorypodcast.com. It'll bring you to a LinkedIn, and then it's on Apple, Spotify. You can listen to all of them. So if you want my personal take on which ones are phenomenal, Jerry Norton's wife, Anne-Marie Norton, fucking amazing human being. Love her to death. Kent Clothier, Matt Higgins. Those two will shift. If you're like me and you resonate with me and Alejandro, because he and I would say, Alejandro, generally, you and I are generally kind of aggressive entrepreneurs in how we approach things. If you resonate with us, you'll love Kent Clothier. You'll love Matt Higgins. If you are more of an empathetic human being, right? If you are an empath, if you love nurturing, go watch Laura Morby, Vina Jetty, Anne Marie Norton, who actually was very recent as well. All of these are on my YouTube. You can hit live or YouTube. I don't know. It's one of those buttons, or go to theoriginstorypodcast.com. You'll find it. So phenomenal question and phenomenal insight, dude. You're saying this. You have to be able to afford to keep that person on, right? So the reality is this, guys, and this is going to be a breakdown of, I'm going to go so heavy into this when I do a masterclass on this. It's not just like how to hire people. It's how to afford hiring people. How do we get the capital needed if we don't have the 50K salary in our bank account right now to develop? I'll show you guys how to get access to all that money. It's all super simple. Just no one talks about it. So, but yes, you absolutely need to make sure that if you were going to commit to hiring someone on a pay structure, that you can sustain that pay structure. One of the biggest things, the biggest culture killers in a business is you tell your employee you're going to do something and you don't do it. Now, if you say, I'm going to hire you on a 50K base salary plus a tiered commission, 2 months in, they don't close a deal and you run out of your marketing spend or your OPEX account because you just didn't set expectations properly and you overspoke, you're going to say, hey, I'm so sorry. I know I agreed to pay you $5-6 grand a month on your base salary or $2 grand a month or whatever it is. Now I have to change you to full commission and I'm going to give you a big commission. That's great. But guess what just happened? You just went back on your word. And what's going to end up happening is this person will start to resent you, or even worse, they won't trust you. They won't trust the things that you say anymore. Yeah, phenomenal. Alejandro, do you want to do a final little quick Q&A? Did I miss questions? Because we're up on time, but I'm okay with
yeah. Let's take a look. Let's see what we got. Anybody else have questions? Go ahead and present them in the chat, please. I think I saw some earlier. Boom, 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 boom. He asked, I think Anthony, maybe we need some context on this one, but does someone run both? I think we were talking about the sales manager and the general manager or director.
The dispo director. Yeah, I answered that.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I don't think we're going to have good questions. I think we crushed it. Yeah, the reality is, guys, the world of hiring is so expansive and so intensive. The reality is this, we can't teach you in a hour-long podcast on YouTube how to hire an effective, scalable team to make $1 million a year. It's not enough time to go into everything that needs to go into. It's a 5-hour discussion, and that's why the masterclass will be there. Love this one. What is a typical salary of a director of sales? So it's going to depend on your industry, right? Because I'm so involved in other industries and I study so many other industries, because real estate is just one thing that we do. It's going to depend on the industry. So a sales director in a real estate wholesale business is going to be paid very differently than a sales director in a high ticket education sales business, right? Or a SaaS product business, because they have different ways of selling and making money. So your salary base is usually going to be, for a director of sales, if you're going to have someone, probably going to be about $2K a month on a base plus that tiered commission. So it could be anywhere between 20 to 35K. Now, if you have a sales director who effectively just runs the entire goddamn business and they're crushing it, you're usually going to want to incentivize them more. So they may go, instead of 30 up to 35K, they may even going up. So I've seen sales directors at 50K on a base salary, but then they get no commission, right? So it really just depends on what can you afford and what is fair given the marketplace based on the roles and responsibilities that you're putting on that person. Sergio asked a great question. If hiring top down, should you still get a VA to bring in enough leads to start building out other? Yes, the answer is yes. The reality is you're going to hire all of the roles, right? But if you want to be a baller, this is actually what you do. You actually get your sales director, your top down hire first, right? And then you get the blueprints for what success looks like in every role, for a caller, for a lead manager, for a dispositions manager, for a TC, for all the things. And you're going to do this. You're going to take that binder of this is what success looks like. And then what are you going to do? You're going to give it to your COO, to your sales director, to your dispositions director. And you're going to say, hey, here's a blueprint for what success looks like. Here's the business credit card. Go bring it to life. If Elon Musk was to start a wholesale business tomorrow, do you guys think he would pick up the phone and start calling? No. Do you think he would go to Fiverr or Upwork or onlinejobs.ph to start hiring a virtual assistant? No. What's he going to do? He's going to go find someone to be a CEO, and he's going to then go to someone who crushes this business. And then, someone like Sam Singh or Alejandro Alvarez or one of like my mentors, and then he's going to pay them, hey, you run a $5 million a year business. Cool. I need to know the skeleton of your whole business. I want all your SOPs, all your onboarding, all the damn things, and I will pay you for it. So Elon's going to have hired the CEO/COO, the person who runs the business. He's going to go get the blueprint for what success looks like from a trusted source, and he's going to connect the two. And then he's going to say, CEO, go build it. That is the true essence of being a legitimate high-level business owner. I hope that gives you some insight.
Yep. Cool, man. Well, that's all we have, Sam. Unless you have anything else you want to add to it.
Can I do a shameless plug for this Saturday?
1000%.
Awesome, guys. This Saturday, it is Tuesday. Saturday is quickly coming upon us. If you guys don't already know, but you should know, I'm going to do my signature masterclass, the one that is probably the best one that I've done so far. We'll probably go minimum 5 hours overall, including Q&A. It's called Marketing Secrets. The reality is this is all the shit that they don't tell you. Because why? Because it is easy to charge someone 30 grand for it. I paid more than 30 grand for all this information. The reality is, if you want to learn how to do PPC the right way, PPL the right way, direct mail, door knocking, fucking JVs even. If you want to learn how to make $1 million in JVs and you don't know how, guys, we've got over 6 figures in revenue coming in of profit in JVs alone. And I am completely automated. You will not see me working on JV deals. All the things. That is this Saturday. We're going to be doing a masterclass called Marketing Secrets. Don't be anywhere else. Whatever the fuck you got going on Saturday, cancel it. I don't care if it's your wife's birthday. I don't care if it's your anniversary. You know what? If your wife's pregnant and she's giving birth, it's okay. She'll understand. Why? Because you're going to go make a shit ton of money. Yeah, you know what? I stand by that, Alejandro. I stand by that. You can miss the birth of your child for this. But the reality is this, guys, this Saturday, it will be live. And boom, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Here you guys go. Grab that link in the chat, register for it. You are gonna be with me for 5 hours. You're gonna be nowhere else. And my one ask is this. Actually, before I say that, I'm gonna say this. Because I actually believe in putting my money where my mouth is. Alejandro, do you know how much I'm gonna be giving away? How much money I'm spending on my giveaway?
Is it 5 grand?
I'm spending over 5 grand in giveaway. Yeah. So you're not going to come to me and listen to me talk for 5 hours and have me sell you some bullshit. I'm actually going to pay my money for you to level up. 5 grand minimum out of pocket. It's going to go out of my pocket this Saturday for live attendees only. It will not be recorded. It will not be on YouTube. You will never see it again. It's not going to happen. My only ask is that you be there and that you also share this link with your friends. Share it with your friends. The reality is there's so many people who are getting ripped off. There's so many people who are paying so many goddamn guru courses and coaching products and all these things, and they don't know how to make money yet. And we're going to help everyone do that. So register for the call. If you can't click it on there, go to my Instagram at ArchSamSing. The link's in my bio. Sign up and then just share it with a friend and let me know that you did, because I may or may not rig the giveaway if I find out that you just shared it with 50 of your friends. I'm just saying. Okay, that is my only ask. Alejandro, want to wrap it?
Yep, let's do it, man. Again, guys, thank you for showing up today. If you got any value from this, share it with your friends, like Sam said. If this wasn't valuable for you, fair enough. But we would appreciate helping us grow and sharing the word. Other than that, see you guys next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona time, every Tuesday.